All right. Hello. Welcome to the first demo for 3D Workshop Weekend hosted by RIT IDSA. My name is Jack. I am the RIT IDSA University Chapter President. Um, we are going to be hosting this Fusion360 intro lecture. Well, it's going to be hosted by James Sheeler and Seraphim. Sorry. And we want to make sure we provide you guys with a good opportunity to learn other programs that you are not maybe used to interacting with in the curriculum. So this is a great option. And Fusion is also really accessible, especially for students. It's a lot more simple than other programs. So we definitely want to encourage its usage in the program. So I'm just gonna go ahead and hand it off to our presenters here, and they're gonna give us a workshop, and we encourage you guys to follow along.
Sure. Thanks, Jack. So my name is James Sheeler. I'm a fourth-year industrial design major, and I'm also a student ambassador for Fusion360. I'm joined with Seraphim, who is an engineer student. I'll let you introduce yourself, Seraphim.
Hi, I'm Seraphim Bieber. I'm a second-year electromechanical engineering student. I've been working with Fusion360. This is my second semester. So I joined last year in like February. And so, yeah, I'm going to be kind of co-hosting this, I guess. James is going to be in charge of it all, but I'm here. If anyone has any questions, like absolutely feel free, just message me in the chat or contact me however, raise your hand, and I can answer any questions you have. So you don't have to worry about, like, I don't know, derailing the lecture or anything.
So ultimately, this will be broken up into two parts. The first will be just kind of a short little what is good about Fusion, why should you use it? And then the second half will be a demo. So to kick it off, the first thing is, just talked about that. So you may have noticed there's so many CAD programs that today are thrown around that people talk about, whether if it's from a Rhino, SolidWorks, and there's just a whole variety of CAM softwares too. And while they all have their own purposes, they all have their own benefits. Where Fusion comes in is that it's able to integrate many of these and create a cohesive and encompassed sort of language that you can all operate these various functions in this one program. So since we're all designers here, sorry, Seraphim, we are mainly in the design side, but if you ever need to begin to look at how you can make or produce something, you can either learn it yourself or hand it off to someone who has that potential of integrating the CAM knowledge to create the object for CNC machinery or 3D printing, whatever you might end up needing or molding. So for designers, this is a very intuitive software. Not only can you create some very simple objects that we'll be exploring today, but you can also begin to create some very cool, unique, free-formed objects like by pulling line segments to create new forms, surfaces, and those will probably be the most beneficial to the designers that we have here today. For example, with forming sculpting tools, you can make a very cool bike like this, something that I wouldn't have known how to even begin to approach with just the basics and how to like visualize it and be able to 3D print something so complex and organic, perhaps. And for example, this is how the file might look, just being able to move around shapes and create these very organic shapes. You might see something at Home Depot and wonder, how do you even approach to design something like that? A program like Fusion360 would enable you to allow you to do that. So today, we aren't quite making a reciprocating saw. We are instead making a taco. So hope you guys are all psyched for that and maybe be in the mood for Mexican food after. So the way this will work is that we are going to start with doing a lecture every time. Then there'll be a demo of me walking you through it, and then you'll be able to do it yourself. This usually works best rather than you following along as I speak, just so you can really understand sort of what's going on and the various processes. So before I begin, just want to ask everyone who's around, how many people will be following along out of curiosity? And I know, Michael, you had mentioned that you'll be taking notes. That's completely fine. Anyone can do that as well. But just to kind of gauge the room, sort of who will be following along with me during this time. Sweet. So we got a few people. And if you ever need me to slow down, if there's something you need to review or miss something, feel free to write in the chat or turn on your mic. Either way works. So feel free to open up Fusion. If everyone's there, I guess give me a thumbs up for those who, just so if you don't have the program open, you have it open. Fantastic. All right, so when you open Fusion, you'll be welcome to the screen. Now, I know at first glance it may look like there is a lot going on, but it can be easily broken down into a few segments. Just to go ahead and reduce some of that anxiety of everything that's being thrown at you. Up here as the #1 bar, those are pretty much some you'll see like in Microsoft Word, PowerPoint. You got your undo, your save, your file commands, the very basics. The next bar down is your easily accessible bar, the toolbar. So some of the more commands that you'll be using more frequently are located up there. Over here, #4 is your view box. So you'll be able to navigate around your object easily. You'll also be able to, I'll share a few commands using the mouse to navigate around your model as well. Over here will be all your components and objects and assemblies that you'll be creating. Now those various objects are, say, you have a mug and then maybe a mug lid. Those would be two separate components or assemblies that you'd be able to have. That's sort of how something like that might be broken up. That was just something on my desk that I was able to do. And then one of my favorite features that Fusion has is the timeline, which is at the bottom. Now, as you build your sketch and get to the final model, you may have to go back to some point. And rather than completely undoing all your progress, you're able to move along that timeline and select exactly where you want to go in your process of how far back you want to go. Now, some of that may be confusing, and hopefully that'll be clarified once you begin to build the taco shell with me. So just expanding on the timeline a little, you'll see that you have a variety of options going on down here. You'd be able to go back any point in your sketch or model and revisit that if you'd like. So for starters, and of course, I'll show you how to do this as well. Whenever you start a new project, there is this tic-tac-toe board at the top corner that'll allow you to create a new project. Here you will not only be able to create a new project, but view all your previous projects as well. Feel free to name it. Then we will create a document in that file, in this case, Taco Tuesday. And from there, we will go ahead and change the units as well. So I'm going to hop over to Fusion. And I am going over to the data panel, tic-tac-toe board, and we are actually, where is it? Create a new folder. And
James, I don't know if you know, but everyone still sees the presentation rather than Fusion.
I did not, thank you. Let me switch that up. I think I selected the wrong thing. All right, how about now? Does it show Fusion? Fantastic. So we will create a new folder. Actually, sorry, that was in a separate menu. Create a new project, and we'll give it a name. In this case, simply put, taco shell. Give it a second to do what it needs to do. Then I will create a new design, and I will save it in the project called Taco Shell. You can see that I've already made a taco one before, and we'll give it a name, just shell, and we'll save it there. Now I'll go ahead and let you all go from there, and let me know, give me a thumbs up once you've made it that far, and we'll continue on our way. How we doing, Thomas? Sweet. Then the next thing we'll do is we will close that menu. You can do hit the little X there, and we'll go to document settings, and we'll change the units. Sometimes it is already preset to inches, but you'll be able to change it to, or sorry, preset to millimeters, but you'll be able to change it to inches. Am I doing something wrong, Seraphin?
No, it should be popping up with. It should be popping up with the menu on the right side of the screen.
Oh, I see. My Zoom window was over it.
Same.
Gotcha. All right. So yeah, navigating that was so you see that we have all our various items, and we're going to do inches today because taco shells are in inches, I guess. And once you have that, we will begin exploring how to create a new component and begin creating sketches as well. So broken down into various parts in Fusion 360 are components, assemblies, and bodies. Today we'll be using a component for our taco shell. So I'll walk you through how to do that. And then within that component, that'll be the shell itself. So we will create a sketch and do that for you. All right, so we will first off create a new component. So underneath create, and you'll see that we have this dialog box pop up, and we will just simply call it taco again. Even though we'll only have one today, it's helpful to go ahead and get the mentality of just properly naming your components so it's easier to find. And then we will create a sketch. And a sketch is just above that dialog block that we had before. And we are actually, so we have our X and Y, Z and Y, and Z and X planes. And for clarity's sake, we'll be just doing the blue and green plane. And so we have created a sketch, and you'll see that we have opened a new area up here. So previously we were in this area of the menu, and when we created a sketch, it brought us over to this menu, which has offered us a whole variety of commands that we can go for. Now we can create fun lines, we can mirror, we can create circles. To keep things simple for today, we are just going to do a rectangle. And while we can just put a rectangle anywhere in space, that wouldn't anchor our sketch to anything, which means it would be more floating around in space, and we don't exactly want that. So what we'll end up doing is we'll be clicking on the origin and moving outward, and we will click again. Now, some helpful tips to navigate around the page. If you have a computer mouse, you can click the mouse wheel and hold down, and you're able to move around that way. And give me a thumbs up if that works for you, or if you need some help, if you would like for me to do it again, I'd be more than happy to. How's everyone doing? All right, well, if everyone's good, I will continue moving on. So you'll notice that we have two black lines here and two blue lines. Now, the reason that is that the black lines are locked onto this point. However, the blue lines are, I guess the way you could put it is that they're floating off in space right now in this rectangle, and we can move it around however we want. To create a strong model and form, you want to make sure that when you're creating any sketches, that you want to constrain them as much as possible so that we don't have any of those blue lines. Now, the way to do this, if you've done SolidWorks, this may sound familiar, is you'll notice that there are these little symbols here, and that means that these lines are parallel, so they won't be moving up, down, or like more at angles. And ultimately, the reason why this is so move aroundable is that it just needs some dimensions added onto it. So we are going to create a dimension on this one here. And the way that you'll do that is where you found that rectangle tool, you'll go to the create dimension tool, and you'll be able to type in this case, we're going to do 6 inches, and then we'll also constrain this side by 4 inches. So we will create a 4x6 rectangle. And you'll notice by doing that, you've created a black rectangle, and going back to what was said before, I can no longer move it around. It is permanent. Or permanent's the wrong word, but you can't move it around. And if you ever get stuck in a command, there's 2 ways that you can get out of it. You can either hit the escape button, or to delve into something a little bit more, you can right click, and you have all these options, including maybe the ability to copy, cancel your command, or delete whatever you're working on. And there's some more stuff for you to mess around with that on your own time as well. All right, so if everyone is good, I'll give you a second if anyone needs a little more time. What we'll do from here is we will press finish sketch, which is the green check mark in the top right of the corner. Hard to miss, and that means that we are finished working on that sketch. If you do need to go back to it, you can go back to the, you can right click, and you can go back to edit sketch, and at any time you can go back to there and work on it. So again, we'll click finish sketch, and we'll go back to the 3D view. Just to introduce the fun box in the top corner, we can click on it and drag it around to get the proper view that we want. And the next thing that we'll do is we will create this into a solid object. So by going to the extrude command above create, we can select our rectangle, and we can either drag our rectangle around or select or type in a number. In this case, we will do 1.5 inches, so 1.5, and we'll hit enter, and we have a awesome looking rectangle. So the reason that I'll go ahead and mention that we chose a taco shell is that we believe that for designers, it would kind of give the best intro of the various forms, including sketching, model, or fillets, shell, and then we'll even delve a little into applying textures or surfaces to the model. This was kind of to give you an overview of a very broad overview of what Fusion has to offer. So that's why taco was what we ended up going for. Now, if everyone is ready to move on, we will begin to add some fillets onto this to create the rounded edges on our taco shell. We'll be doing 2 sets of fillets. The first one will be on top. So under the Modify tab, we can select Fillet, and you'll see that this box has popped up. And now it's just a matter of selecting which edges we want to do. So we are going to choose this edge. You want to be careful right now not to select any of the faces. You want to hover over the edge, and we'll select the far edge as well. And we can drag to see whatever shape we like. In this case, we want a perfect circle. And since we had set this at 6 inches, we'll have 3 inches for each side. And we can type that in, maybe. And that'll give us our first arc. And once you're done with that, you can just hit enter and everything goes away. And for the next fillet, we will select a bottom edge. And by clicking the mouse wheel and holding down the shift key, we're able to rotate around our object. And if that was a little tough, or you don't have, or you're on a trackpad, you can also use the rotate around the cube that's in the top corner as well. And that'll allow you to view the other side of it and select that. And since we did 1.5 inches, or yeah, 1.5 inches for the bottom, we can either drag, or we will type in 3/4 or 0.75 inches. And once again, we'll hit OK. So our taco is really beginning to take shape. So if anyone has still hung up on that, feel free to speak. Otherwise, I will continue moving along. So our last object for modeling our beautiful taco shell is the shell command. This is a very fun tool for if you're ever creating molds, or in this case, our taco. And so whatever face we will select will allow us to shell our object. So this is one way. It's not a taco shell. So there you see that I clicked the shell and I selected a face. This is the wrong face that I did not want to select. So if you ever end up in that situation, you can go to your shell dialog box and hit the little X, and you can go ahead and select a different face, the one that we want, and drag from there. I'm going to do 0.1 inches. And once we are happy with that, we can select OK. You have a pretty good looking taco shell. Now, admittedly, I am having a tough time gauging when people are done with the steps. So I'll move on to the next section. But is everyone good for moving on? Great. So the last area that we'll end going on is in the design tab. We have all these variety of options that we can go for. And that's one of the cool things about Fusion is that it may seem like simple at first, but there's a lot below the surface that you can end up working with. Alex Lobos, who's here with us today, will be going into some of the great features that other designers can take advantage of. While they may be still a little more advanced much than what we have going on here, it's still cool to see what you can do with Fusion and some of the more abilities that it can do. So in design, we will go down to the render tab. And we have a lot more shading on our taco now. And this is where the fun comes in, as we can begin to add different surfaces onto our taco. Now, in our demo, we did have a taco texture, but we did have to import that one from the web. So instead, I guess we're gonna have a little more fun today since we all don't have a taco texture. And when you open up underneath the render, we have the appearance tab, which is this color wheel. We have this huge library of already downloaded options that Fusion has for us that we can apply. So say we want a glass taco, all we have to do is drag and drop that on our model. You can definitely mess around with miscellaneous was not the right menu. What object you'd like to go for. I'm going to find one that's a little more, do a wood taco. See how that looks. I don't think tacos were meant to be wood. Hold on. There we go. Just all right, so we have a brass taco. And you can also see that it keeps all of your recently used textures up here. And once you want a little more professional one, this isn't the final render. This is just sort of the view it gives you before going into the actual render. You have this tea kettle up here that allows you to create a render of your object. I just hit OK, and it's rendering the background. Now, there are other programs out there like KeyShot that you can use to render. This is just the rendering program that Fusion has inside of its software to kind of give you a general idea of if you just want to quickly throw something together and render it within the program. See how something looks. Now, of course, depending on the quality that you end up selecting, the render time will take a different time for every render. Maybe do a little less resolution. So I'm actually going to choose local render, so it'll do it on my computer. And there we go. How about that? It's not quite the taco texture, but it's taco colored, so I think I can pass that off. Thank you, Alex. I appreciate the applause. Um, does anyone have any questions? Does anyone want to share their taco? I'm actually kind of interested of how everyone's taco turned out, or if you found a cool texture that you'd like to share. Had someone message me, oh my God, I made a taco. So that's a pretty good sign. I'm all for that.
The marble texture was pretty interesting.
The marble one. Would you mind if I hand over the screen sharing to you? I'd love to see how it turned out.
I currently have you on a different device.
Gotcha. Well, maybe I can throw on a marble texture on my end. What would that be under?
It was under stone.
Stone. How are we feeling? Blue pearl, granite? Oh, gorgeous. It's a little burnt. It's got to be said. Beautiful. Well, this is sort of the end of what we have to present today. We went a little early, but ultimately one of the things that I want to let you all know is that Seraph and I are student ambassadors, and our job is ultimately on campus to help you learn Fusion, or if you ever have any questions, if you're stumped and don't know how to proceed on a project, feel free to message us anytime. This is what we're here for. This is what we're paid to do. And whether if it's just working on a project or you just want to learn a little bit more, if you had a good time today and would like to have a one-on-one lesson, feel free to reach out to us. If you can't find our email, I'm sure that IDSA would be more than happy to supply you with that. Jack will point you in the right direction. But yeah, hope you had a good time today. Seraphin, is there anything that I missed or anything you'd like to add?
Not really. I think you pretty much nailed it all. Yeah, but absolutely feel free to reach out to us at any time. If you want to start working on a design project or something, James and I would be more than willing to help you out with the CAD of it, and especially with some of the more complex tools. If you want to learn anything or just want help with anything, absolutely feel free to contact us. We're here basically anytime. Just drop us an email and we can meet with you.
Well, thanks so much, Jack, for having us. I'll let you close us out.
Thank you so much, guys. That was great. I hope everyone had a good time. Just wanted to ask, did anyone have any questions for them before we close off? All good? Awesome. Okay, that's great. So yes, thanks so much for joining us for this workshop. We have some more coming up this weekend. We've got, of course, Alex doing some more Fusion. We've also got SolidWorks, Rhino, and Keyshot coming up. So we're really excited for that. Hope to see you there soon. If you guys want to get in touch, we can kind of connect you to these guys. If you're interested, you can always reach out through Instagram or emailing us at, is it ritidsa@gmail.com? Just know that. Can never remember the order. But Instagram is good. And then also, if you're RIT, campus groups is also a good way to get in touch. We have other events that we offer, sketching on the 6th, 6th, 16th, and 26th at 6 p.m. every month. And then we have some lectures coming up, a few other things coming up. So keep an eye out. Remember to follow us on Instagram so you can stay in touch and keep an eye out on what's coming up. And I think that's all for today. Yeah, it's great. And I can let you guys go. Have a good one.
Thank you so much.
Being here.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you all.
Thanks,
Bye.
Alex.